On June 11, 2012, Chelsea confirmed the signing of a 15-year-old boy from Belgium who bore a striking facial resemblance to Paul Pogba, having made his first foray into football with the Anderlecht Academy. His name was Charles Musonda. Gifted with remarkable on-ball wizardry at a very young age, he seemed destined for greatness, and at one point he was hailed as the next big thing. Unfortunately, crippling injuries derailed his flair on the pitch, resulting in a gradual and agonizing fade into obscurity. On the evening of 27 April 1993, a DHC-5 Buffalo transport aircraft of the Zambian Air Force crashed into the Atlantic Ocean shortly after taking off from Libreville, Gabon. The flight was carrying most of the Zambia national football team to a 1994 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Senegal in Dakar. The journey was scheduled to make 3 refueling stops, the first at Brazzaville, Congo, the second at Libreville, Gabon, and the third at Abidjan, Ivory Coast. At the first stop in Brazzaville, engine problems were noted. Despite this, the flight continued, and a few minutes after taking off from the second stop in Libreville, the left engine caught fire and failed. The pilot then mistakenly shut down the right engine, causing the plane to lose all power during the climb out of Libreville Airport and fall into the water 500 meters offshore. All 25 passengers and 5 crew members were killed. On the evening of 27 April 1993, Anderlecht's Zambian midfielder Charles Musonda was supposed to have been on the same plane that crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. Death whispered his name, but he slipped through the echo unanswered. He was miles away, rehabilitating in Belgium, where he plied his club trade for Anderlecht. Charles Musonda had been prone to knee and ankle injuries and, despite frequently being in pain, had often played through it. In Zambia, he was repeatedly accused of being unpatriotic for missing many games for the national team. But in truth, Charles was playing through injury, sometimes against doctors' orders. Because of this, Anderlecht's team manager at the time, Michel Verschuren, asked him to refuse the invitation when he was called up by Zambia national coach Godfrey Chitalu for the 1994 World Cup qualification match against Senegal. Musonda did, and thus missed the fateful flight. That decision sowed the seeds that sprouted a football lineage beneath the son's embrace. His second son, Tika Musonda, was born 9 months later, and his third, Charles Musonda Jr., was born 3 years after the incident. Musonda Sr., an Anderlecht stalwart, made a name for himself in Europe, having played for the Belgian giant from 1987 to 1997. And he wanted his boys to follow in his footsteps. Unlike their father, it was going to be easier for them because they were born in Europe. The eldest, Lamisha, was a diminutive but quick winger. The second, Tika, was a centre-half who could also operate in midfield. The youngest, Charles Musonda, was an attacker, individually forging their way to the top flight. It soon became clear the youngest, Charles Musonda Jr., also called Charly, wielded the greater gift. Radiant, untamed, ethereal, and highly promising, Musonda's rise to stardom was swift, like wildfire through dry wood, after joining the youth setup at Anderlecht. His youth coach described him as a player who nearly won the Best Player award at every tournament. He almost won the Best Player trophy at every tournament he attended. The whole of Europe already knew him. A lot of teams wanted him and kept speaking to his family to sign him. We couldn't hide him, his youth coach, Yannick Ferrara, recounted. Coincidentally, his rise came at a time when the Belgian market had become a talent-rich terrain, with clubs swooping in to sign prodigies from the Belgian league. Chelsea were among those clubs, and in the summer of 2011, they secured deals for some of the country's best talents. Eden Hazard was signed from Lille for £32 million. Romelu Lukaku was acquired from Anderlecht, and Thibaut Courtois joined from Genk. In the winter window of 2012, the Blues raided Genk again to sign another highly promising youngster, Kevin De Bruyne. It was anticipated that Musonda would follow a similar career path to these players, but interest from numerous clubs made it uncertain which team he would join. Ultimately, Chelsea prevailed by offering to sign Musonda alongside his two brothers, Tika and Lamisha, and proposing to relocate his family to the UK. In June 2012, Chelsea and Anderlecht agreed on a compensation fee for the 15-year-old Charly Musonda, who was signed alongside his two elder brothers. Upon first glance at the teenager, with a slight frame and no perceptible muscle strength, one could be forgiven for being skeptical about his prospects in senior football. Perhaps in a different era, Charly Musonda Jr.'s body type alone would have precluded him from ever playing professional football. Thankfully, this is an age in which the world's best player is not exactly a physical specimen. Fleet-footed and diminutive attacking midfielders and wingers like Pedri, Gavi, Bernardo Silva, Lamine Yamal and Phil Foden, to mention a few, have ruled the statistical roosts, scoring goals in bunches and bamboozling their more physically imposing markers with technique-first approaches. What Charly Musonda Jr. lacked in physique was more than compensated for by his technical abilities. His exceptional talent ensured rapid progression through the club's youth ranks, and the year 2013 in particular was full of milestones for the young Belgian. In May 2013, Charly Musonda Jr. made his first start for Chelsea's under-18s, where he quickly outgrew the level of competition at that stage. At just 17, he was fast-tracked into Chelsea's under-21s. With the under-21 team in the 2014-15 season, Musonda truly developed as a player, appearing in 33 games across the under-21 Premier League, FA Youth Cup, and UEFA Youth League, scoring 7 goals and providing 3 assists. What impressed onlookers most about him was his work ethic, which was remarkable for a player of his age. Tirelessly running up and down the pitch and willingly embracing his defensive responsibilities, he earned plaudits at the youth level. These were the very skills that made him more ready for senior-level football than his other academy colleagues. This squad included the likes of Nathan Ake, Andreas Christensen, Fikayo Tomori, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Jeremy Boga, Dominic Solanke, and Tammy Abraham. Across the U15s to the U21s, Musonda played 51 times, scoring 11 goals. It was time to test the waters with the big boys, probably overdue in fact. Coming into the 2015-16 season, Musonda began demanding more first-team football, which looked hard to come by given the depth of attacking options in Mourinho's squad. Pedro Rodriguez had arrived in the summer of 2015 from Barcelona to join Oscar, Willian, Diego Costa, Loic Remy, and the team's talisman, Eden Hazard, pushing Musonda further down the pecking order. Still, he kept banging on the first-team door and at times humiliated senior players during training with his tricks and skills. In fact, he once annoyed Cesc Fabregas when he flicked the ball over his head before nutmegging him in a session. Fabregas responded with a heavy challenge on the 19-year-old, sparking a melee among the players. But it became more difficult for Musonda as Mourinho's team struggled to replicate their 2014-15 form. Their inconsistency left no room for experimentation, especially with the Portuguese manager's job on the line throughout the first half of the season. Musonda was not included in Mourinho's first-team plans and instead remained with the under-23 side, where he continued to show promise. Before the turn of the year, Jose Mourinho was sacked due to the team's poor results. In the same month, Musonda asked to leave in order to get playing time elsewhere. When the winter transfer window opened, interest emerged from Spain, from the Benito Villamarin. A 6-month loan offer, without an option to buy, from Real Betis was accepted by Chelsea. On 29th January 2016, Musonda joined the La Liga side. Belgian made an instant impact in Spain, winning man of the match honors on his debut against Valencia. Playing on the right flank, he tormented Gary Neville's side and made life extremely difficult for left-back José Luis Gaya, who was eventually sent off for 2 yellow card offenses, both resulting from challenges on Musonda. Full of promise and exciting to watch, he began drawing comparisons among Betis supporters to the skillful Denilson, one of the most flair-filled players in the club's history. The fans quickly composed a song for the Belgian, with one line proclaiming, "He looks like Neymar, but is much cheaper." Musonda scored his first goal for Betis in the following game, a 2-2 draw against Deportivo. Though it was his only goal of the season, he also registered assists in wins against Getafe and Espanyol. Musonda got the regular football he craved, featuring in 15 consecutive games. His positive form prompted Betis to extend his loan in June 2016 for the 2016-17 season. Betis initially preferred to buy him outright, but Chelsea never entertained the idea. Sadly, Musonda's second season at the Benito Villamarín was a far cry from his first. Gustavo Poyet, appointed before the start of the 2016-17 season, favored Joaquin and Ruben Castro as wingers. Musonda played mostly as a substitute, appearing in the first 7 games and assisting against Malaga before suffering his first knee injury just before a home clash with Real Madrid in October. Gustavo Poyet was sacked in November, 4 months into his tenure for the team's poor results, and was succeeded by Victor Sanchez. Musonda was fit to play in Victor Sanchez's first game in charge, playing 13 minutes as a substitute against Las Palmas. But the same injury recurred and he couldn't play for Betis again. In January 2017, Chelsea confirmed they had recalled Musonda, who totaled 1 goal and 3 assists in 24 games for Betis. Upon his return to Chelsea, the team was flying high under Italian manager Antonio Conte, on a rampage and serious contenders for the Premier League title. Conte rated him highly, wanted him to stay, and even invited him to train with the first team. Musonda has the quality to become a great player, and for this reason, I think can be a good opportunity for him, but also for me, for the club. I see in this player good prospects. I want to work with this player. I see that this player is the present, but above all the future of this club. Musonda did not make the senior squad and only played 3 games for the under-23s due to his persistent injury issues. However, there was a feeling that the following season could be his breakthrough, at least based on the glimpses of talent he had shown at Betis. The Belgian was also eager to prove to Antonio Conte that he could be a reliable part of the first-team plans. But there were concerns. Conte was known for building his teams around physicality, work rate, and resilience, traits he valued highly in his squads.